You bought the EcoBoost because it felt like the cheat code. More torque down low, better on-paper MPG, and that smug little feeling that you outsmarted the V8 crowd. But here's what Ford doesn't put on the window sticker. There's a $4,500 EcoBoost trap that can show up right when your truck is finally paid down, and it doesn't feel like maintenance. It feels like a punishment. And the reason this one hurts is because it's not some rare, exotic failure. It's a design reality of modern V6 turbo ownership. Oil pressure-controlled timing hardware that can turn a normal cold start into a "why does my truck sound like it's dying" moment. Meanwhile, the V8 guys have been saying the same thing for years. Yeah, it's not perfect, but at least it's simple. Today we're exposing the trap Ford hides behind the word eco in EcoBoost. What fails, why it fails, why the bill lands around $4,500, the exact symptoms you can catch early, and the real question you should ask before you ever choose V6 turbo over a V8 again. Let's go to war. Here's the problem with how people compare engines. They compare horsepower and MPG like it's a video game stat sheet. But truck ownership isn't a stat sheet. It's a timeline. And the timeline has two phases. Phase 1, warranty time. Everything feels amazing. Phase 2, real life. The truck hits 70,000, 90,000, 110,000, and now your money is on the line. The EcoBoost wins a lot of fights in Phase 1. The trap shows up in Phase 2. And it usually announces itself with one of the most hated sounds in truck ownership. That cold start rattle. Not a cute little tick, not injector noise. A rattle that makes you pause, because you know it's not normal. And that sound is the canary in the coal mine for the villain of this video. Cam phasers and the timing system. Let me explain this in clean truck guy terms. Your EcoBoost uses variable cam timing. That means the engine can change valve timing for power, efficiency, emissions, all the modern stuff. And to do that, it uses cam phasers, basically adjustable gears, controlled by oil pressure and solenoids. When everything is healthy, it's awesome. Smooth, strong, efficient. But when that system starts to wear, or it bleeds down oil pressure after sitting, you get that rattle on startup. Because for a moment, the phasers aren't locked in the right place, and the timing components are basically telling you, hey, I'm not happy. Now here's why this turns into a $4,500 trap. Because fixing cam phaser rattle is rarely just swapping one cheap part. Shops don't want comebacks. Dealers definitely don't want comebacks. So the repair turns into a timing service event. Phasers, chains, guides, tensioners, seals, oil and coolant service, and a whole lot of labor. That's where the bill comes from. It's not that one part costs $4,500. It's that the job is deep, time-heavy, and once you're in there, nobody wants to replace just one thing and roll the dice. And here's the part Ford hides. Not in a conspiracy way, in a psychological way. They hide it by making EcoBoost feel like a no-brainer up front. Because on the test drive, EcoBoost torque is addictive. You hit the gas at 25 miles per hour and it just goes. So you choose it thinking you're being smart. But the long-term bill isn't in the sales pitch. The long-term bill is in the fine print of complexity. Turbo V6 ownership is not V8 ownership, but better. It's different ownership. And the timing system is one of the biggest differences. Now, let's talk receipts, because this channel doesn't do vibes. Here's what a $4,500 EcoBoost trap usually looks like in real life. You bring the truck in with a complaint, rattle on cold start, or engine noise when starting, or rough idle and noise after sitting overnight. The tech verifies it cold. Then the estimate comes back, and you see a parts list that looks like a Christmas shopping cart. Phasers, chains, guides, tensioners, gaskets, plus labor that makes your stomach flip. And the quote lands right around $4,000 to $5,000 depending on the shop, the region, and how deep they go. That is the trap, because the truck still drives fine, until it doesn't. So owners do what humans do. They ignore it. They turn the radio up. They tell themselves it's normal EcoBoost noise. And then one day it's not just a rattle. It's a check engine light, mistiming, power loss, rough running, or a truck that starts behaving like it's tired. Now it's no longer optional. Now it's mandatory. And now you're paying it at the worst time, out of warranty when the truck is supposed to be your reliable workhorse. So why were V8 owners right all along? Because the V8 argument was never V8 is perfect. The V8 argument was, give me the engine with fewer expensive systems stacked on top of each other. A naturally aspirated V8 is mechanically simpler in a lot of ways. No turbo heat management, no boost control hardware, and generally less dependence on oil pressure-controlled timing tricks to achieve the same drivability goals. Does that mean V8s never have issues? Of course not. But the V8 guys have been warning about one thing. Complexity shows up as surprise bills, and EcoBoost is built on complexity. That's how it makes torque. That's how it hits emissions targets. That's how it wins the test drive. And that's how it sets the trap. If you're watching this and thinking, okay, I wish I knew this before I bought, you're exactly who I make these videos for. So if you want more straight breakdowns like this, real costs, real failure patterns, consider subscribing. No spam, just the stuff dealers don't explain until after you sign. Now let's talk symptoms, because this is where you can save yourself. The early warning signs: catch it before the bill owns you. If you have an EcoBoost, you need to stop waiting for a catastrophic moment. This trap gives you hints. Here are the big ones. 1. Cold start rattle that lasts more than a second. A quick little chirp can be normal. A harsh rattle that repeats, gets louder, or lasts longer. That's not just how it is. 2. Rough idle on startup after sitting. If it feels like it's hunting or stumbling for a few seconds, especially paired with noise, pay attention. 3. Check engine light tied to cam timing/correlation codes. Even if it goes away later, codes are the engine writing you a letter. 4. The noise changes with oil viscosity and oil change timing. If fresh oil makes it quieter and old oil makes it worse, that's a clue that oil pressure control is involved. And here's the key: don't just describe it as noise. Use the language that forces the right response. Cold start cam phaser rattle, or timing rattle on startup after sitting. Because vague complaints get vague diagnoses. Specific complaints get real work. Why it happens, the mechanism in plain English. This is not a Ford is evil story. It's a modern engine story. You have tight tolerances, oil pressure controlling critical timing hardware, long recommended oil intervals, and owners doing lots of short trips. Short trips are the silent killer of oil health. Not because oil immediately turns to sludge, because short trips mean more moisture in the oil, more fuel dilution, more time running cold, less stable oil pressure behavior. Now stack that with long intervals and a system that relies on oil pressure behaving perfectly to lock timing components in place. That's how you get the rattle era. That's how you get the trap. How to reduce your odds without pretending you're invincible. If you own EcoBoost and you want to keep it long-term, here's the playbook. 1. Shorten your oil change interval. If you're doing mostly city, short trips, or towing, don't stretch it like you're a commuter in perfect weather. Clean oil is cheap insurance on oil pressure-controlled systems. 2. Use the correct oil spec and don't cheap out. Wrong viscosity and bargain filters are not where you save money on an EcoBoost. 3. Don't ignore the first rattle. The earlier you document it, the better chance you have of getting help if you're near warranty limits, or catching it before it gets worse. 4. If you're shopping used, cold, start it. Not it started fine when warm. Cold. Overnight cold. That's when the truth shows up. Now let's answer the question you're really here for. Does this mean never buy EcoBoost? Number. It means you need to buy EcoBoost with eyes open, because EcoBoost makes sense for 2 types of owners. Owner A, you trade every few years, you stay under warranty, you want torque and drivability. EcoBoost is great here. Owner B, you keep trucks forever, but you're obsessive about maintenance and you understand the system. EcoBoost can still work here. Where EcoBoost becomes a nightmare is the in-between owner, the guy who keeps it long enough to hit Phase 2, but still treats maintenance like Phase 1. That guy gets the $4,500 surprise. So here's the verdict that ties the whole war together. Ford didn't hide the trap by lying on paper. They hid it by selling the EcoBoost as the smarter choice, without forcing you to price in the long-term complexity. And the moment the timing system starts making noise, you're no longer comparing V6 versus V8. You're comparing, do I pay $4,500 now? Or do I gamble that it won't get worse? And that gamble is why V8 owners keep saying, I told you. Because the V8 wasn't about winning the test drive. It was about avoiding the second phase surprise bills that modern turbo systems are famous for. If you've got an EcoBoost, drop your mileage and whether you've ever heard the cold start rattle. And if you're shopping, comment which engine you're leaning toward, 2.7, 3.5, Power Boost, or 5.0, and how long you keep your trucks. Because this isn't about being Team V8. It's about not getting ambushed by a bill you never saw coming.